All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Extraordinary Man Podcast. You guys know who I am by now. If you don't know who I am, my name is Phil Jones, aka Mike Jones. Have you know me personally or professionally? And I am the host of the Extraordinary Man Podcast. And you guys know the greatest co-host on the face of the planet. I got so many names for this guy. Like, I was literally sitting here thinking to myself about what I could call him right now. Like, this man is like the bottled water ambassador. I mean, he is literally one of the greatest minds that mankind has ever thought. It was like literally Einstein, Tesla, then him. I don't think y'all understand what I'm saying right here. Like, matter of fact, I ain't finna say no more. I'm talking to all three of y'all. Introduce yourself.
What's going on, y'all, man? As always, it's always an honor to be here on the Extraordinary Men Podcast show and to be hosting alongside my older brother. I am Midas. Make sure you put a king in front of that. Let's go.
So, today we're about to have us a conversation. And I don't intentionally like to have conversations about things that are potentially trigger warnings, but some things just have to be said. And no matter how you slice the bread, we have to understand that there are people in your life who will undoubtedly waste your time. There are some people who literally go out of their way to make it a part of their mission to waste your time. What do I mean by this? I'll tell you. You have a lot of friends. You have a lot of people around you, acquaintances, people you do business with, whatever the circumstances are in your life. You have people around you all the time. And the purpose that they serve is not the same from one person to the next. Like many things, you have to come back to the table to evaluate certain aspects of your relationships with people, with your significant other, mainly because that person is the one who deals with you the absolute most. However, one of the hugest things that I've seen is where you have people who they have a tendency to utilize you as an emotional or physical or whatever have you, to use you as a crutch to prevent them from doing the very thing that is necessary for them to do to live a productive life. Midas, the very thing that is necessary for them to do to live a productive life. Do you know any of these people? The very thing.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head with spouse. That's a big one. Definitely coming back to that table from time to time when you have to re-talk about things and renegotiate and put in a brand new set of rules and a new contract and all that jazz that's going on so that you guys can operate and be on the same page. But yeah, the spouse, that's a big one.
I mean, I get super fired up about some of these things. You see, the spouse is the predictable one. The spouse is the
Yeah.
predictable one. You know, the one that don't get enough talk about? Those relationships that are antiquated and outdated. I feel a bomb coming.
The antiquated and outdated.
I felt the bomb coming. I knew it was coming. Sometimes what's happening is that we are not adequately growing out of relationships that no longer serve us the purpose that they once did or they were once intended. The man that I was in 2013 is not the man that I am in 2023 by no stretch of the imagination. And what has to be understood very carefully is that you don't always know what people's agendas and motives are when they're around you. But one thing that you do know is the fruit of what they're producing is not adding up with the words they speak.
Mhm.
So at some point in time, you have to start evaluating the people that you are dealing with. Because when you find yourself being drained of your emotions, being drained of your time, being drained of your finances, being drained of your common sense, being drained from being able to give these resources to the people who they belong to because you're allocating so much of them to others who don't appreciate them or don't deserve them, where does that leave you? I will argue that there's many of us that are having difficulties with our significant others. And one of the basis is because of our positions on things that have nothing to do with us.
You got to put some more sauce on the ribs for the people on that one.
Okay, let's just say you call me, right? You pick up the phone and you call my phone and you say to me, hey, I got such and such situation going on. And I say, whatever I say, have my piece about it. And then, like most of us, I go back, pillow talk about it a little bit with the spouse. We talk. And because I took a stance on a situation that may be the homeboy stance, my old lady don't necessarily agree with that position.
Mm.
Or she's questioning the man that you have always presented yourself as because of the position that you take. So behind my back, you this way, but with me, you this way. Which is it? Which is the real you?
Hmm.
Sometimes you don't know what spirit you bringing into your household and if it's actually of value to bringing that thing in. Some people around you, they call you, they having problems with their relationship. All they talk about is that negativity. And what you don't realize that you recording all that negativity in the back of your head. And now you find yourself cherry picking your situation based on the intel that you heard from somebody else's situation ain't got nothing to do with you.
The rub off, the great rub off.
The Xerox paper theory is its finest. A couple of
Mhm.
sheets of paper. Now I pick up a couple of them sheets of paper. I start reading and say, you know, my girl do that too. Now I'm starting to scrutinize her, and I'm starting to have unnecessary arguments with her. And I'm starting to have these negative feelings toward somebody who I never had these problems with before. But you don't realize that it's because of this outside element that I'm dealing with. That things that are rubbing off from that situation are coming in here.
Hmm.
Oh man, I don't trust none of these girls, man. These girls, they this, and this. And before you know it, it's just like you starting to find yourself regurgitating some of them same talking points with your woman.
Yep.
I'll tell anybody. The manosphere, the dating sphere, if you have a successful situation at home, you should be giving the advice, not taking it.
Hold on. Hold on. Say it again.
If you
Say it
are
again.
dealing in the man space, manosphere, whatever have you, and you have a successful situation, a working situation at home, you should be giving the advice, not taking it. It is literally the equivalent of the woman who goes to her single friend to get advice on her relationship. You going to 2 and 3 time D4Cs to get relationship advice on how you supposed to deal with your situation that has been working up until you start listening to this foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
How is somebody that don't have what you have gonna give you advice on what to do with yours?
Hold on.
Roll tonight. I'm on the road tonight.
Hold on.
Imagine somebody who haven't worked a consecutive 5 years trying to give you Forex and 401k advice.
Yeah.
What fiduciary interest do you have to not be blowing smoke up my behind? What you have to understand, like the viewer, understand is people will waste your time and they don't care nothing about it because in their minds, they feel that they need to be heard. They feel that what they have to say has value. And let me tell you about something. There are a lot of people who feel that their words have value with no merit. No pun intended, of course. A lot of people feel like they have value with no merit, meaning that you do not have anything to prove to me to tell me anything about what it is that I need to do in a said space. A man who ain't got no house or no savings to get one, you ain't even got a real estate agent, man. Don't talk to me about what I need to do to get me a house. Don't bring to me the stuff that you read on the internet, but you haven't actually put in place to tell me about what it is that I need to do. I don't want to hear nobody who ain't got no house talking to me about no home equity line of credit. How would you know? People will waste your time, man. They will blow smoke up your behind just to sound smart, and they do it all the time and so leisure. It's amazing how the least educated.
What amazes me is people falling for it.
You can't be amazed by that because of the fact that somebody who is a compelling orator will always sit at the top of the food chain because they have a gift to move people with their charisma. So you can never be surprised by the fact that people fall for it. Because for me to even listen to it, I have to already be in a place in my life to where I'm looking for answers. Why do you think that when people are at the top of their situation, they're not running the churches? People ain't running to churches until they are at the absolute somewhere. They have to reach a place in their life to where they have no place else to turn, so they try church.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not 100%, but that's the common thing that happens, that people get to a place to where, oh, well, what must be missing? I done tried everything else, then I must be missing God. So I'm going to go to church. And based off of whatever, because the pastor has already went to seminary to learn how to give a compelling sermon. That's why he has followers. Hell, we got a YouTube channel with 345 subscribers. May not be much, but 345 people found what we say compelling.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody could be watching this saying, man, these dudes is bozos. But 345 people disagree. The 2,000 views across the 4 social media platforms that I got today says otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
The return people who keep coming back, commenting, liking, sharing the content say otherwise. How many people have taken the time to fact check it? I don't know. I hope they do. I promote that they do. I like knowing when I'm wrong so that somebody can correct me and put me in the right line of thinking or let me know that, hey, maybe my perspective is it was good 10 years ago, but currently is not what's happening out here now. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't like talking about the music business now, because I wasn't in the streaming era. I don't have a lot of experience in the streaming era. So I can't really talk to people a lot about it. I know what I know from what I've read, but I don't know what I know from selling it, from actually being in a system to where I've been able to create a digital presence to be able to actually sell music in this era. But
Well,
I
I
can
can
tell you
tell
what
you
it's
what
like.
I know up to this point.
You said what?
I can tell you, and you can tell us what you know up to this point
Up
as
to a
to what.
certain point.
Yeah,
But then at the same time, it's like because I can give you the ins and outs of CD duplication, don't mean that I automatically can give you the ins and outs of streaming.
yeah,
I don't know what's
definitely bought the multiple bay systems where you could burn 10, 15, 20 discs at one time. Definitely spent bread.
yeah. Like I at no point in time have ever experienced receiving a check from Spotify. I got one royalty check in my lifetime from Soundscape.
Hmm.
Like $108 royalty check because my music was streaming on Comcast. I didn't even know. Came to my house and like, what is this? Yo, this is a royalty check.
It's dope.
Man, I don't count them little after checks because I had to sell my own tickets, so that didn't
Yeah,
count.
same here. Yeah,
Yeah, so I don't those ain't royalty checks. That's like a
be
kickback.
paying myself. Yeah,
Yeah, I could have those same 15, 20 people. I could have just got 5 other artists that could sell 15, 20. We could have just put on a show for ourselves and cut out the middleman. But those are things that you learn over time. So I could tell you how to put a show together. I do that very well. I could that'll never change when it comes to entertaining people. But what I mean in general is you have to beware of time wasters. As I like to call them, time burglars. They steal. Your emergency is not my emergency. I'm gonna say it again for the one in the back, just in case they heard the echo. Your emergency is not my emergency.
hold on.
I don't particularly feel that if it's something that is bothering somebody who means something to me, that I should just ignore it. But I also don't feel like I should be sitting around taking everything that you say to heart and to heed. Sometimes you have to understand that you always got an emergency. You always got a problem. There's always something going on.
Yeah,
It's potentially
constant.
that the problem is
Habitual
you.
problem.
You said what?
I call them habitual issue havers.
I personally feel like you have not developed the skills necessary to learn how to deal with your problems. That's why every time that you have one, either A, you haven't developed the skills to deal with it, so you make it out to be a huge deal, or you're an attention whore. And because you have this compelling means of telling a story, that you utilize every single opportunity that you get to try to convince others about some falsified sense of urgency for your situation.
Mm.
And I'll just be honest with you, man. There's nothing to me that is more devastating than having my time wasted. Nothing at all. There's nothing on this planet that is worse than having my time wasted.
Yeah, I really hate not having an end result, a positive end result take place after putting some time in. I don't care what it is, whether the end result is simply just I wanted to have some fun. It doesn't always necessarily got to be monetary, but wasting my time or having my time wasted and there's no positive outcome on the other side of this tunnel. Yeah, I cannot stand that.
I mean, I could even understand that if things just didn't go right. I mean, I can like I'm flexible enough to understand that every situation is not going to have a positive outcome. But
No, that's different. That's different. That's like, hey, you know what I'm saying? We plan to go to the park, maybe play some basketball, or maybe throw the pig skin around a little bit, but it rained. Okay. That's a totally different scenario versus somebody intentionally is putting forth the effort to waste your time. Totally different scenario.
you know, I sit here and I look at my life and I look at the synopsis of my life, and like sometimes I'll get phone calls and text messages to where it's like I ignore those phone calls and text messages. I just don't respond because I know that nothing is going to come out of them. And the problem is with a lot of people is the fact that they don't realize that they are a waste of time. I don't think that everybody realizes that they just suck as people and they don't provide any value as people. I don't think that they do. I think that when people look at themselves and they think that because they do the very basics, like being able to pay their bills, feed their kids, cater to a couple of luxuries here and there, that they think that somehow that's rooted in their value. And it's just like, no, you created those problems and you taking care of the things that you created. Yeah, that's it's called responsibility. They
Adulting.
conflate responsibility with value. Like it has very little to do with your actual value by and large. Like your value to your kids, your value to your house, your value to your job, maybe, okay, great. But when it comes down to your ability to relate to others and to do with intention for others, that's where I have to draw the line. Is that Midas? I don't want somebody to pick up my phone just to shoot the shit with me.
Every blue moon. I'm cool.
No, okay. Let me rephrase that. Rephrase that. I don't want every time that you call me is solely with the purpose of I'm bored, and you just think that I'm the person that you can
Hold
call to
on.
waste your time.
Hold on. Hold on. That definitely deserves a bomb. I want to make sure that is understood and in the forefront. I
I
have
don't.
no problem with picking up the phone from time to time just to shoot the breeze. That's cool. But it's life going on over here, bro. You know what I'm saying? What's up?
I
Because I
got.
got to get to work. I got four
I told.
kids. Get back
I
to work.
tell people sometimes. You know what? Scratch that. I have. When I moved down here to Florida, I connected with quite a few people that I thought were just outstanding human beings at that time. Again, heavily into hip hop, everybody rapping, doing what they doing. So you made your friends with who you made your friends with. Once I started to transition and pivot, so did my desire for those relationships. What happens that you started to notice that there were a lot of people who were going down spirals. Those spirals that they were going down were like emotional spirals to where they were. And I started noticing that I'm finding myself in my own spirals. Why am I in a spiral? I'm not going through what y'all going through. I got my own issues. And when you removed yourself from the people, you removed yourself from the conversations, which when the conversations are not happening, it's not on your mind. And when it's not on your mind, you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind, basically.
So what I learned is that when I'm not going to go pick up my drunk friend from the bar because he's afraid that he's going to get into it with his girlfriend and lose his freedom, or when I'm not sitting there listening to this person that's morbidly depressed because their music career ain't going nowhere, or because I'm not listening to this person over here that can't seem to get a woman that just want to be with a woman so bad, but you can barely keep a job. When I'm not entertaining all of these different figureheads that have these easily fixable situations,
Hmm.
I came to the realization that, okay, these relationships here, they had to put some distance. So the everyday conversations started turning to once or twice a week. Once or twice a week started turning to twice a month. And now some of these people I haven't heard from in upward of 3 years. Then I had a cousin of mine, a few female friends, same fate. Nothing I mentioned on the podcast before, but I'll say it again, whatever. During the COVID era, everybody's on the phone, everybody's going through whatever they're going through. Me and my old lady, we wasn't on the best of terms. And it was everybody was trying to figure it out. So people, they would call you, and it's like, you feel in your own self-loathing, you feel that I'm being useful because people are calling on me. And as they're calling on me, I must have some sort of value because they wouldn't call me if I wasn't valuable. They wouldn't reach out. They wouldn't keep asking me for my advice. And I love the fact they asked me. So you're rationalizing the fact that you're being used as a fill-up station. So as time started to progress, and I started going down my own little thing, and I started to pull back in distance, and it wasn't because of them, it was because I was dealing with my own stuff. My stack of Xerox paper was so overwhelmingly high that I had to step back to start sorting through my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
These same people started to go off on me because I wasn't available. Oh, you fronting. Oh, you this, that, and the third. Oh, you writing cryptic Facebook messages. Like, nah, that had nothing to do with you.
Cryptic Facebook messages.
It's like no, like you're not understanding that. It's like, no, I'm not taking shots. Like, you can get on the phone and call me. You know me better than that. Why would you ever think? But again, you have to understand that in some people's minds, they have to create a new enemy to justify their lunacy. So they keep falling out with people over and over and over and over and over again because that's part of the demon that they're fighting. That's part of the MO. So now it's my turn. And you thinking it's something about you, it has nothing to do with me. It's because of the fact that when you're not available to feed that demon is convincing them, okay, he turning on me like everybody else turning on me. He fronting on me. Okay, so I'm going to get him before he get me. That's what it's telling you. And again, assessing that in real time is difficult. You don't always understand what's going on as it's happening.
Yeah. I mean, a situation like that, especially with somebody that you're extremely close with, is really hard. You definitely become oblivious with somebody that's like really like you tight like that with. It's hard to see that,
bro. And it's like you literally sit there and you think to yourself, like, I really value these people, and I really wish that they completely understood that, but they can't possibly understand what you're going through because they can't understand it for themselves. They can't. Because there's a monkey on their back. There's a demon on them that's telling them that all their problems are external. So that's why that's happening. All their problems are external. It has nothing to do with you as me. It's not my fault. Everybody just fronting on me. Everybody just out to get me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
And that's definitely, the segue. That type of mentality or attitude or whatever segues into pretty much just being a professional victim. Oh man, you've been here for X amount of years, and you know what I'm saying, they keep overlooking you for promotion. Well, that's all you're looking at is just the time that you put in, but you're not taking into account of, you're always late. You always got to be told to tuck your shirt in. You never got your vest on, or you know what I'm saying. Well, insert whatever here that causes you to get looked over. None of that gets looked at as a problem. The fact that you just showed up and you put the time in that you're supposed to get that promotion. Uh, your friend's starting to change. And it's not even so much that the friend is changing. It's so much the fact that you're staying the same. You're not evolving at the same rate. People look at evolving as changing, or you starting to front on me, or you starting to you think that you better than me. And no, the whole not to get a little nerdy, but that was actually the point of Pokemon, was the evolution. Once you reach a certain point in your life, you evolved into your next form. Okay? You're fighting through life and you're dealing with all these different situations. That's what it was about. So that's all I got on that.
And by the way, if you're on the live, check in, please. Check in, say hello. One thing that I can say is that one thing I can say, if I can't say anything else, is that you have to be mindful of the fact that you don't always know what's going on when it's happening. You don't always know that you're being used when you're being used. And that's why I try to tell people that there's a vast difference between being used and utilized. And you have to understand the difference between being used and utilized. To be used is for somebody to blatantly take advantage. For you to be utilized is when somebody is seeing your value and your value is being used to add to their value, which ultimately is going to add back to your value. Jose, Brittany J. Styles, hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys for tuning in.
What's going on, people? Reciprocity, man. It's a big one. And that's something we should definitely be striving for.
I mean, I think that I don't even think it's something to strive for. I just think that in certain communities, they just understand it. In certain communities, they needs to be retaught. But aside from the community aspect of things, one of the biggest drawbacks is the misunderstanding or the misappropriation of time. That's what I'm going to call it. Midas, you a busy man.
Mm-hmm.
You're a lead engineer. You run your own company. You got a gang of babies in the whole household. You play an active role with your parents, your extended family. You got, she said she loved the Pokemon analogy, by the way.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Got to catch them all.
I was hoping somebody would have got to catch them all. I was hoping somebody would have felt that.
Well, you just caught a Charizard right there, cuz. No, but it's like when you sit and you look at Jose from Castleberry. What up, handsome?
Castleberry in the building.
So when you look at all that you have to do, like literally all of your actual obligations, right? How much actual time within a 24-hour day can you say that you really just have to yourself?
Not much, and I try my best to give myself some time. So it's like after everything has wound down, all emails answered, everything that the wife needed me to do for the day is done, all the attention that the kids wanted is done, whatever errands mom and dad needed me to run is done. Oh, Courtney, you know what I'm saying, my sis, I'm sorry, our sis, I don't know why I keep doing that, called a flat. Okay, let me go handle that real quick. All right, I got to make sure that I send off these reports. I got to get these texts scheduled. I try my best, and that's why I, you know what I'm saying, focus at night, why I put so much focus into this Xbox, because that's my wind down time. The whole house is asleep. And I usually, give myself at least 2 hours to myself to wind down on the box.
So when you sit here and you look at that, right? You have to count in sleep, You have to count in not just the time that you spend on doing the business or just like earning the money, but the time for
Mhm.
invoicing, for actually finding the text, scheduling, and
Yeah.
putting things together. Like you have to make time for admin, specifically for
Yeah.
administrative duties, aside from
Mhm.
being in the field, aside from going into the office, aside for the other things you have to do.
Yep.
You have to make
And then
time
work.
to give
Mhm.
each individual child whatever they need and collectively. Maybe watch an episode or two of something with the missus. And
Mhm.
then you have to carve out additional time that you really should be spending sleep just to give yourself decompression time.
Yeah.
And I want all of viewers to really pay attention to where I'm going with this. Is that in our own respective lives, if you have a 9 to 5, whatever you want to call it, every day at work ain't an easy day at work. Sometimes you're gonna be there anywhere from 8 to 10 hours, and that's not including travel time to and from. Then you got grocery store that you got to go to. You may have kids, you may have dogs, pets, whatever have you. You have certain time that you have to do other responsibilities. You may have to go to the post office. You may have to go different places and do whatever it is that you have to
Mhm.
do. You may
That
have,
time adds up.
yeah, if you have a significant other, you have time that you have to cater to that significant other to keep that foundation strong. When I speak about people wasting your time, if you really sit there and you look at the structure of how most of our lives are, we don't have the luxury of time to just be pissing away in the wind. When my daughter is struggling in school, when something is happening that I need to address, when I got to deal with something at work to where it's like I think I'm going to come in and just do 8 and skating and turn around and become a 14-hour day.
No, I hate
When
those.
somebody say, "Hey, Mike Jones, sorry to tell you, but you in charge today, buddy. It's your show." It's your show. You ain't got a choice.
Mhm.
You ain't finna just throw the operation away, so you got to get it done. In most of our lives, regardless of what the curveball is that's thrown at us, we have to be mindful of the fact that we can all pinpoint at least 16 hours of each one of our days just between sleep and earning a living without including any extras that is already blocked off and accounted for. So if you do nothing more than go to work and come home, how much time do you have to waste by people that mean you no good?
Mm.
I'm gonna say this.
That's a thinker.
I'm, I'm,
That's a thinker.
I'm gonna say this, and I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it just because of the fact that it wouldn't be the extraordinary man if I didn't say it. There are a lot of legacy relationships that need to go. There are a lot of legacy relationships that need to go. Almost everybody that I came up with, I no longer talk to. And we don't even have beef.
Hmm.
We just grew in our separate directions. I came here. When I moved to Florida, I lost half of the flock already. Oh, and Brittany can tell you the stories. How many times I done chased people down, making phone calls, ain't nobody answering. How many nights I'm up frustrated, like, yo, why they? I left. I'm calling. What's up, man? What's up? I talk to y'all almost every day when I was up there. Then when I come to town, it's oh man, come hang out with me when I come to town. Everybody want to make time for you when you're local. When you on your leisure vacation time, everybody's available. But when you got something that's bothering you, oh, I call Mike Jones. He gonna always pick up the phone, and you're gonna wear me out for a good hour or two. Let me need to run something past you for a couple of minutes. Just, hey, I just need to get your opinion on something. I call you, I don't hear back from you. A month to go by, and I don't hear from you until the next time that you got something to complain to me, or you got some more gossip that you want to come in and dump off on me. And that's what I was experiencing. So you mean to tell me, on top of already having the stresses of what was going on in my household at that time, already having the stresses of my employment at that time, where I was still 1 foot in, 1 foot out on whether I was taking my job serious, when I had all these different things that were going on, and I still carved out time to make sure I could be a good friend to people. The only part that bothers me is that I can't get none of them hours back. I got one old friend that is still connected to a current friend that always asks that friend to tell me to call her. I wouldn't waste my time calling you because our entire relationship was based off of you just using me for mouth service and disappearing. You only cared about yourself. And when it became apparent to me that you only care about yourself, that's when I finally built up the nerve to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm severing that. We got here. Say no time to waste. You choose to waste it. So it's in you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nobody's denying that.
Mm-hmm.
No, nobody's denying that. You have to be a willing participant in your own foolishness.
And recognize that as foolishness.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of times we already recognize it. It's just the fact that we try to convince ourselves that it's something other than what it is.
Facts, Jose. Facts, Jose.
Say the flock wasn't with you then. Can I get a bomb? Can I get a bomb for the crowd?
You got a bomb, Jose.
Of course the flock wasn't with me. And that's the whole reason why we have this conversation today, because as a 37-year-old man with life experience, I can come back and I can tell you with all assurance that I know this. And if those who are listening or catching this in passing or religiously don't know this, let me help you identify some of the signs that you'll see to know whether or not reciprocity is being given.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that when it comes down to opportunities and somebody saying, hey, we should try this to earn some money, I can count on one hand, because only one finger is on one hand, who has ever called me to put me up on an opportunity. And I'm on a podcast with them. And that's not saying that everybody else just had opportunities and they didn't give me none. But it's one of them situations to where you learn where you are in your life and what value is needed at that stage that you are in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the place to where I'm like, you know, like somebody grabbed one, like one of those pre-grown trees. I'm trying to plant it somewhere so it can start rooting and this can become my permanent home. That's the phase that I'm in. So it's like, whether it's going to be a career or whatever situation. I'm not saying that when the roots grow that it won't accumulate other things and different branches aren't going to come off of it. But I'm ready to focus solely on getting my money together. I want to focus on getting my family together. I want to focus on building things that are rooted in stability. I don't care about so-and-so that got shot. What was so-and-so doing when he got shot? Did so-and-so care about so-and-so to put himself in a situation like that? Why do you feel compelled to call me knowing that I'm not involved in that activity? That lifestyle has nothing to do with me and or our dynamic. Why are you bothering me with it? That's one of those things that I tell people to look at when it comes down to understanding when somebody is wasting your time. What is the relevance to the subject matter to our dynamic?
I think a big one, and I believe it was last night that I spoke to you about. Um, a lot of things that we waste time on, and a lot of times that we don't recognize or pay attention to it, we're oblivious to it. I finally realized it last night myself. Dude, I'm tired of playing Jiminy Cricket. And what I mean is, I'm tired of wasting my time with individuals that refuse to recognize that you still not old enough or grown enough to know, you know what, that's just not a good idea. I'm gonna go home. You know what? We probably shouldn't go over there. Ain't nothing over there, but you know what I'm saying? We went over there one time to try to go kick it, but ain't nothing over there but just all low lives. So you know what I'm saying? We shouldn't do that. And I'm tired of being the individual to have to speak on you shouldn't have did that. Why this? Why
You
that?
know, and
How come you didn't see that? How come this? How come that?
and kind of
You
how
know, it gets tiring.
and kind of how I was telling you about last night is that some people will inadvertently use you as their moral compass to prevent them from actually having to think for themselves. You will be utilized as a crutch so that, oh well, if Midas didn't say what Midas normally say, then I must ain't crossing the line. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going until Midas feel that he gotta stop me or he gotta say something. It's almost like I remember when I was like drinking super, super, super heavy, right? One of my rationales that I was having when I was doing it was, okay, if Brittany don't say nothing to me about it, it must not be that bad. So because nobody's correcting me on my behavior or nobody's addressing my behavior, it must not be all that bad. So I'm rationalizing and trying to justify my behavior based on other people's responses to my behavior. That happens a lot. And it's because they know that you are a morally sound individual. They will absolve themselves of responsibility and put the onus off on you. I've had plenty of people, oh, well, why you ain't say nothing? Because you grown. See, we got over here in the comments. My bad, bro. A text in the middle of the night and something put calling you picking up is a visual you should have made your time work, especially when it comes to others. Me stating this is as a person that call in the middle of the night looking for guidance. Well, believe your time I can never repay. See, here's the difference between what you're saying, right? When some people, and this is one of the points that I was gonna make, is that there's some people that they always got a problem. There's some people that they always need advice. They can't stand on their own too and make no decisions for themselves. There's some people that no matter what you do or no matter what you say or no matter how much you give them or invest into them, they can never seem to. So they're using you as a crutch to prevent them from actually having to go and being adults. So if somebody reaches out to me in the middle of the night, it's like, hey, of course it's going to be raised for alarm. Or, hey, what's going on? What can I do for you? Off rip. But when you're reaching out to me in the middle of the night, 3 days out of a 7 day week, all year, nah. Eventually, I'm gonna stop answering the phone for you because now this is it's just like somebody who needs to borrow money. You need to borrow money every once in a while. Understood. Things happen. We fall into rough patches. Sometimes we need a little assistance. It happens. But when you call me once a month when rent is due to say, hey, can I hold $200 toward my rent? Well, if you know you short on rent every month, what you intend on doing about solving that problem? Because I'm not the solution. So that's the difference. Sometimes we look at things and we'll be going through a situation to where we keep it to ourselves because we don't want to be a burden on others. And then there's some people that they don't mind spilling over on other people about things that, especially that they can solve for themselves. Me and my girl are having problems. Me and my girl are
That
having
was
problems. Y'all have problems every week. Maybe y'all shouldn't be together. Or maybe y'all should see a counselor. Maybe y'all should go through a couple of steps, read a book, see if there's something that y'all can do that could try to help y'all enhance y'all relationship. If y'all always having problems, either y'all incompatible, y'all both bullheaded, and somebody don't want to make the necessary compromise to make the relationship work, or it's a myriad of other circumstances that's involved, but it requires you to do the work. I'm not in that house. My name ain't on none of them bills. Stop calling me, asking me how can I solve your problem.
Mhm.
Now again, somebody need guidance.
Inventing is okay.
Yeah, if you got to get it off your
Inventing's
chest so you
okay.
can find the right. Because sometimes I could be so mad that I know how I want to respond, and Midas will tell me like you are right in how you feel, but you're not right in how you want to respond.
Yeah. There's been plenty of times I called you to say, hey, before I go into this situation.
Oh yeah, I remember. I remember that one.
hmm but before I attack this thing, this is what I think. This is my approach. How this sound, because you got to find out if the way that you're doing it is right.
And you're gonna reach out to somebody who you know or who you feel has your best interest at heart in order to know that if you're gonna give me
Mhm.
the advice, you're gonna give it to me from a place to where you're not gonna let me play myself.
Yes, and the biggest key to that, or what I just said, was I was handling my problem, my own problem, not looking for somebody else to.
And with that being said, there's another aspect of that. A a very simple one. One of the most simple aspects of all of it boils down to how often is the same person coming to you with the same problem? Because if you come into me
Mhm.
with the same problem, still asking for solutions about the same problem, how to deal with the same situation, you don't really want a solution. It's just like you would have a relationship situation where your woman will come to you and she'll tell you how her day at work was or something, and you're listening. And because of the way that our brains are wired, we're looking for solutions. We're trying to find out how do we solve the problem. When really she just wants you to listen. She's wanting to get it off her, and then she go ahead and she'll figure it out. But she never actually tells you directly that she wants you to just listen. So once you get a little age and experience to you, you learn, hey, are you just venting? You just need to get it off your chest, or you actually want a solution with this? I just want to get it off my chest. All right, cool, I'm all ears. Grab my popcorn. Let's do this. We don't have that same level of sympathy for men because in society we have to solve the problem. Because you're not gonna call me to vent while your woman taking care of the situation.
Mhm.
That's not gonna happen if you consider yourself any level of a man in my book. So if you're calling, why are you calling? What is the problem? Do you want a solution or do you just want to vent? I think that's a universal way to approach any situation dealing with people. My thing is, woman or man, okay, you called me about the same situation before and I listened. And or I called you about the same situation and I gave you the advice that you asked for. Did you try the advice? Okay, don't call me again until you have tried the advice. Or if you called me to vent, okay, well, what have you done about the situation since the last time we spoke? Okay, don't call me to vent again until there's an update to something that you have tried to solve your own problem, because I don't want to hear the same thing over and over again. It's not always as easy to say, oh, well, I have this terrible boss, I'm going to just quit my job and go find another one. It's not always the case.
Yeah, it ain't always that cut and dry.
Yeah, so realistically, you might come to me about XYZ in the third. Okay, well, if you feel like you're being unfairly treated, did you go to the manager? Did you talk to the manager and say, hey, man, I feel like I'm being singled out? Because maybe it's something about you that they observe that you're not paying attention to, or you've been in your BS for so long that you think that people don't notice, or maybe you forgot it, but then they notice it. And that's the reason why you're not getting the opportunities that you should be getting, or that's why you're not getting, or why you're being singled out, or whatever have you. It could be anything. But if you're not doing the due diligence to follow the steps to find out for yourself what the problem actually is, at some point in time, stop picking up the phone, calling people to talk about it. Because you know what happened, Midas? I'm going to call you, and we're going to have a nice 30, 45-minute conversation about it. I'm going to hang up the phone. What am I going to do?
Nothing.
Nope, I'm going to call somebody else. Had the same exact conversation.
That's still nothing.
And I'm going to keep talking about it to everybody who will listen until I'm tired of talking about it. And then I'm going to go to sleep or go do nothing. I'm going to do more nothing. But now I have taken sheets of Xerox paper off of my pack. And I gave Midas some. I gave so-and-so some. I gave so-and-so some. I'm literally the flu. I just infected all these people with my negativity for the day, unnecessarily. You get a little bit of vid, you get a little bit of vid, you get a little bit, because I came in contact with everybody, spread nothing but negativity, no joy, no happiness, no nothing of value.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we at.
And the problem still isn't resolved.
It's not even a attempt to resolve the problem. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. There's absolutely zero attempt to do anything to solve the problem. And that's what I mean by somebody who is wasting time. That's probably the key thing, is that you always have a problem. You never have a solution, but you constantly want to entertain or be entertained about nothing.
I'll tell you what's so crazy about time is that people think that we have so much of it, and we don't.
Time is more.
Pick yourself up.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go
you
ahead.
got it.
Pick yourself up and do what it is that you want to do. Make your accomplishments. You want your name to ring a certain way, you don't have enough time to get out there and make it ring a certain way. You need to make it happen. So whether that be getting yourself together, getting your body together, you know what I'm saying? I've been on my weight loss journey, still doing that, trying to stick to it for sure. I'll be honest with you, it's hard. But I'm hanging in there. But yeah, you don't have time to waste. And there's this old saying that a brain or a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I think they need to add time in that as well. A mind and time is a terrible thing to waste.
I mean, hell, technically it's all encompassing, because anything that you dedicating your time to, even if it's occupying certain levels of mental headspace,
mm-hmm.
it's still what it is. You know, for me, it's like, if it's occupying any level of my brain capacity, It's affecting my time because now I have to decompress whatever this is and remove it from my brain just to get back focused on my initial goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no fun.
They're retooling and reprogramming and yeah, not fun at all.
All right, so I've done enough talking today, man. You got some words for the people, man. You got some words for the people about time burglary.
That was the sauce I had, man. Is, you know what I'm saying? You don't have enough time. You don't have more time than you think you do. You don't have enough time to just sit around and, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. Or someday it'll happen. Maybe you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have enough time. You really honestly don't. You know, you 30, but you 30, 40 years old, you're pretty much halfway through your lifespan already. The average lifespan, 67, 67, sometimes in the 70s, but you're already 35 plus. So you're already more than halfway through your lifespan. What are you going to do? What are you going to accomplish? When are you finally going to bootstrap and buckle down and get done what you want to get done? You've been writing this book forever. Publish it. They have Audible. You can self-publish. They got websites that you can hire other people to read the book for you. We got Chat GPT now. It can help you write the book. Like, what are you waiting on? You've been wanting to program that video game forever. What are you waiting on? You've been wanting to get that album done forever. What are you waiting on? So we don't have that much time.
It's like it's like how we discussed before. Is that some things they dreams for a reason. They are never intended to be realized.
Euphoria.
They're just a state of euphoria solely for the sake of entertaining the mind, to get your mind off of how terrible your life actually is. So the dream of that album, because if that album is ever realized, then you have nothing else to dream about. So your life goes back to sucking. Again, more wasted time. Because you can't dream beyond that. So as long as I never realize it, there'll always be something to look forward to.
Yeah, and it's like when me and you had that talk about the whole plan behind the music. You know, for a lot of people, like you said, it only goes as far as just the album, but there's no actual full blown plan, a blueprint, some type of steps, step program or milestones that they set in place with it to start seeing a bigger picture. You're right. It's album, and then once the album is done, it goes back to life sucking.
Yeah, so I never actually do anything with that album. I never actually realized the album at all, because as long as it's still a dream or something to be obtained later, oh, please. One day I'm gonna get around to it. One day I'm gonna make that cookbook. One day I'm gonna draw that picture. One day I'm gonna paint that house. One day it's gonna eventually is going to turn into that thing that I wanted to turn into. And that's really what it boils down to. It's just like you gotta really call it what it is.
I never wanted to be that older gentleman sitting around having conversations with his grandchildren. If I ever get any, you know what I'm saying, I would love some, but long time coming. But however, I don't want to be that guy sitting around talking to my grandkids with the woulda, coulda, shoulda stories, or talking with random people at a bar or whatever, and it's all woulda, coulda, shoulda stories. Definitely don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, man. Like I told you, my biggest fear in life is dying unrealized potential. Is at my eulogy somebody telling a story about how I almost did a whole bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
By then I'll be dead, too dead to worry about it. But at the same time, it's like that's not part of the legacy I want to leave behind.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, guys,
That's deep. Bomb for the day. Another bomb for the audience.
if y'all out of bomb, I know corny dad jokes. Something you got to deal with. Told y'all my head can grow.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah,
At least you don't have a bat signal in yours. I literally have the Batman logo.
now I got a little,
But it
now I got a little yarmulke back here though. Anyway, guys, that's our show tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, for those who don't know, I am Phil Jones, aka Mike Jones. I have you know me personally, professionally, and I am the host of the Extraordinary Men podcast. And you guys know the single greatest co-host that mankind has ever produced. I'm talking about is like, listen, man, it's like Dwayne Wade to LeBron, or it's like Pippen to Jordan, man. It's like Charles Barkley to nobody. No, Stockton to Malone. You know what I'm saying? It's like when it come down to just greatness, you know what I'm saying? It's just this. It's you, bro. Like it's you,
man. Look, man. You the host, man.
I'm just
You the
the
host,
dude.
man. I just ad lib. That's it.
But you got your own patented catch. But you got your own patented catchphrase, man. Get into that patented catchphrase, man. Tell them who you are.
What's going on, y'all, man? Thank you so much for tuning in today. You know what I'm saying? Jones definitely laid down a lot of sauce. I mean, them ribs are so saucy today. They tender. Please make sure that you go back and replay this because there's a lot of gems that he dropped in here. Great replay value. Definitely information that you can use for years to come. I mean, it could be 30 years from now and the information in here is still going to be that prominent. All right. So I am Midas. Make sure you put a king in front of that. Let's go.
All right, and for those who don't know, if you're not already on the YouTube page, make sure you guys check out the YouTube page. You can follow this link right here, the little one right there. Just pull out your smartphone device, scroll it over in the camera app, and just make sure it takes you straight to the page. Pop it up. And then after that, if you guys want to connect with us directly at any time, we have the Facebook group that you guys can come and be a part of. You can scan this QR code as well. Just scan it. It'll take you direct to the Facebook group. We talk about everything and anything in this Facebook group. And if there's anything that you want to know, talk to us directly. That'll be the place to do it. Also, you can follow me at Phil Jones on every social media platform except Facebook because I got my real government name on there, but I have nothing to hide. You did.
That's all. Yeah, I'm still working on mine. So I do have my personal Facebook page, but as far as everything else, I do have King Midas Instagram and Twitter. So I've been talking with Jones and we're working on some things I may be repurposing. So I'll keep y'all posted on that, but you can hit me directly on Facebook.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah, that part. All right, y'all. It's been one.
Let's go to bed. All right, y'all. Peace.